Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids in our 12th year homeschooling this year. If you're not subscribed, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified of all of my future videos. Today I'm going to be going over my February goals as well as my January goals progress. So let's get started. Okay guys, so last week was my monthly reset. I will have a video later in the month, but I did sit down and I went through all of my goals for January, and then I also went through my Q1 action plans that I did in my Leutstrom notebook that I'm using for goals this year. And when I wrote out those Q1 action plans, I knew that they were a little bit lighter, and I think that I was expecting January maybe to not go quite as well, or maybe I wasn't going to have enough time, especially as we were getting back into a homeschool rhythm and I had made a bunch of changes to our homeschool rhythm. But when I went through my Q1 action plans, I pretty much did all of them in January. The only one that I have not finished is my declutter home organization de-owning project. And I'm not even sure that Q1 will be enough to finish that. I've made a lot of good progress. I cleaned out my kitchen, I cleaned out my pantry, and I've made some adjustments to how we are managing our home, how I am managing our home in the month of January. So I really feel good about it. And going forward, I have a bunch of stuff on the docket for February, which I will get into. But I was kind of surprised at how much I got done. And I think that part of it is because I was just really dedicated to my time blocks in January. Part of it was because we were home most of January. We were out some, but not that much. Once we came back from our winter break and started homeschooling again, I really wanted the kids to get into a good rhythm. And we also made a lot of changes, mainly that Emma is not participating in public school band. If you've seen any of my homeschool update videos or anything like that recently, you will know that. So we definitely have a little bit more time in our day, a lot more time in our day, if I'm really being honest, because all of that transition time and as well as travel time is gone. And so things have been really, really good, and I've had a large chunk of project time in the afternoon after our homeschool block, after our lunch. So it's been really nice to have that time, and I feel pretty accomplished. So I'm going to go through January with you, and then we will talk about February. So what I am doing for my tending list, because I'm not using the power sheets this year and I'm not using another goal planner, I did look at a bunch of them. If you are new and you haven't seen any of my goals videos, I reviewed a bunch of goals planners in the fall when they were all coming out for 2023, and I realized that I just didn't need to use one this year. I wish that I could use the power sheets, but they have streamlined it so much and they've taken away so much space for writing. I really need all of that space, which is why I'm using a Leutstrom. It's just a line notebook, but I have a lot of stuff in here just written down, and there just wasn't enough space in the power sheet. So I create my own action plan each month in my Erin Condren. This is my daily planner. I had been doing it in my weekly planner, but I moved to a 7x9 daily planner this year. I don't know if it will continue to be that way or not. We'll see. I do have my little goals list written out on one of the power sheets, printables, goals at a glance from their goal school, because I have purchased the planner, so I still have access to these little printables. They're wildcards, I think that's what they're called. Even if I didn't have access to goal school, I would have written these down. They are written in my goal journal, in my Leutstrom notebook, but I don't want to flip back and forth, so I like having it just on another sheet of paper, and I just tuck it in when I need to look at my goals for the year. So I do have them color coded with stickers, and then I use the little stickers from the Power Sheets goal sticker book I don't know which one I'm using. It could be from years ago. I didn't buy any stickers this year, but I have several of them from years past. So the first thing that I'm going to go over are my monthly action items. The first one was AM routine, create and begin to implement. And what I meant by that was I wanted to write out all of the things that I want to do in my morning routine. I did that. I have been really good about getting up. I'm really good about getting up. I've been more efficient with my time when I get up early. I'm not just turning on the news and listening to the news and not really using the time for anything else. I have a few things that are definite habits in my life, in my morning routine already, but I wanted to add a few other things because my kids sleep in a lot more now and I wake up very early. Sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m. Sometimes I'm up at like 5:30. But if my kids don't get up until 8, my actual morning routine of drinking my coffee, planning my day, reading my Bible only takes me about an hour. And I don't want to clean in the morning. So I wanted some other things to do. So I wrote out that list and I did start to implement it. There are some more steps that I will get into in February. The next thing was my PM routine, which I do not have a PM routine. And I wrote, what do I want it to look like? And so I did write out a list again for my PM routine. The only thing that I reliably do is read at night on my Kindle. And I have been trying to do a little like positive thought or memory from the day in my little pocket planner from Erin Condren. I've gotten one of these for the past couple of years and I do use it in that way. That's my entire purpose for having this little pocket planner. It's very tiny and there's, a few lines, but it's maybe like 1.5 inches of space to write something. So it's not too daunting, but I just don't think to write in it every single day. And what I want to do is make it a priority to write in it every single day. But I've written out my list and that was what I wanted to do for January. So those two things were kind of easy wins in my book. The next thing was to create a weekly rhythm and to discuss it with my family. And we have done that. It was mainly related to homeschool, our homeschool rhythm, and then just my weekly planning rhythm and talking to my husband about what I have planned for the week so that we're both on the same page, because oftentimes, he will have things that he wants to do and I have things that I want to do. And if we're not on the same page, it can obviously cause issues. So just making sure that we touch base weekly to talk about that and the budget and all those types of things, which I did. The next thing on my list was January budget plus no spend rules. If you watched my January goals video, you will know that I had gone into January thinking that I would have a no spend month. Now, when I say no spend, I think of it in a completely literal sense in that I am not buying anything. And obviously that's not realistic because you still need to buy food, you still need to replace household things, you still need to buy, toilet paper or cleaning supplies, all of those types of things. I have tried to be really good about my spend tracking this month, and that has been very successful, but we have had some purchases, and so I don't feel like I can say it's a no spend month. Most of those purchases were needs, things like a big car repair, things like our furnace cleaning, those types of things. But I feel like when I spend money on those things, it's not a no spend month because I didn't save for them ahead of time, which I guess is maybe my main goal, is to have more sinking funds for these types of purchases. Maybe that's what I need to focus on. But I haven't been spending, I don't buy a lot of extras anyways, but I haven't really bought any books or movies or any of that kind of stuff this month. So I'm pretty happy with that. But I did cross out no spend rules on here because I need to reevaluate. I originally, coming into 2023, I wanted it to be a no spend year. But as I have gone through some of our budgeting and financial plans, we have a lot of big home projects and bigger purchases that we need to focus on in 2023, and that's not really a no spend. It's more of like a low spend. So don't spend on things that maybe aren't necessary. For instance, I cleaned out my kitchen and my pantry in January, and I would like to purchase some new organizational type containers for my pantry so it's a little bit neater, but I didn't feel like it was a need. I felt like it was a want. So I haven't bought those things, but I have written them down, and at some point I probably will purchase them. Not this month though. So the next thing on my list was declutter projects, and I wrote home planner projects from my home planner, which is over here. The Passionate Penny Pincher home planner has weekly home projects to get your house organized and get in a good system for managing your home. I have done most of those. I did adjust the different weeks on which I am doing some of those things. So I am off on the weeks in this planner because I'm also doing A Bowl Full of Lemons home management challenge. And so I'm doing those two challenges, but I'm shifting the weeks on which things are done. So there are a couple of things that are on this list in my home planner that are going to be later with A Bowl Full of Lemons home organization challenge, but I'm way ahead, I've already done all of February's weekly tasks from the home planner. So I gave myself full credit for both of those because I'm making a lot of progress, and I have actually gotten what I wanted to get done in January. So that's why I've given myself full credit. The next thing on my list was to unsubscribe from email lists, which I have done. I went through and just unsubscribed from a ton of things. And now when I'm getting emails that I don't need to get, I am immediately unsubscribing. I get so many emails every day, and I don't want to be overwhelmed by marketing emails. I'd rather be talking to my community. So that is done. The next thing was leave Facebook groups, and I did do that. I went through and just unsubscribed or left all kinds of Facebook groups that were either inactive or just not relevant to my life at the moment. I wish that Facebook gave you an easy way to do that. They really do not. They don't want to give you an easy way to remove yourself from things. So I really had to go in and spend a large chunk of time going in and leaving each individual group instead of just going through and Xing a bunch of them, which would have been my preference. The next thing on my list was a no tech weekend. We are doing a weekly screen-free day, the kids and I are, and I was hoping to have one weekend a month where we wouldn't be on technology as well. That did not happen in January. It's possible it might happen in February, but I've been really pleased with our weekly screen-free day. I also personally take a Sabbath on the weekend, so I try to avoid social media and screens and such on my Sabbath day. But we did not do the tech-free weekend, so obviously I didn't get credit for that. The next thing was my monthly reset, which was last Thursday, and I did do that, and it went really well. Of course, 2 days later, I realized I hadn't set up February in my home planner, so I had to do that over the weekend, and it was okay. I'm still unsure about this planner. I really like all the checklists, but I'm not utilizing it as well as I hope that I would. And I'm missing a lot of the things from my weekly Erin Condren life planner because this is a horizontal planner. It's really messing with me. So I did do that. Then the one thing that I talked about having a business goal on here when I set up January, but I didn't put it on because I didn't want to share it because I wasn't sure if I would actually complete it or not. And that was to start my Patreon community, which I did end up doing. We are a couple of weeks into it now. We've had a live stream, our first co-working live stream. We have had some great discussions on passions and all of the books that we're reading, and I've shared some exclusive content, and we're doing daily check-ins and just really getting a good sense of community, and I am loving it. It's been something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I spent a lot of time talking to Gretchen, who does my website, and trying to figure out if there was a way to easily work a membership on my website, and it really was just too difficult and too cost prohibitive at the moment to start something like that. So I decided to go with a Patreon community, and so far I really like it. I'm trying to make sure that I keep things nice and organized by using tags, because they don't really have a good way to organize things, but I am really pleased with the community. If you're interested in joining that community, I will have a link in the description box so you can come check us out. If you have questions, let me know. We are still really new, but so far I'm definitely enjoying it. Then for my weekly action items, I had budget check-in and expense tracking, which I did do every week. Weekly declutter projects, I did that every week. Homeschool planning / Sunday planning, I also did that every week. There was one week that I did my weekly and homeschool planning on Monday instead of Sunday, and I think I posted those videos in YouTube somewhere, and I was like, I should have done it yesterday. Why didn't I do it yesterday? And it set our week back, but I think that was it was the week of Martin Luther King Jr. Day was on Monday, and so our homeschool day was a little bit different because we really focused on the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., so it wasn't as bad. And then the last thing on my weekly action items was a screen-free day, which we did every week, and the kids really enjoyed it. I think that they enjoyed it enough. But we completed puzzles, we played games, we talked a lot. We did more read-alouds, all kinds of fun stuff, and I'm really enjoying it. It's something that we're going to continue doing in February, and I'm looking forward to it. Then for my daily habits, I had AM routine, which I did do every day. That was just my very basic AM routine. It was not expanded into the extra things that I want to do. The extra things are going to be part of February's plan, which I will talk about in a minute. Read. I don't need to have this on my daily habits, but I have been reading every day for, I would say, since August of 2021 is when I started reading every single day. I actually started reading every single day in October of 2020, but then in July of 2021, I had a few days around the 4th of July that I did not read at all. And so I started again, I think it was August 3rd was the first date that I started tracking that again. And so I have been reading every single day since August 3rd, 2021. And that is, I want to continue doing that. I don't set a time limit. I just want to read something every day. Last year, my goal was to read fiction every day, and this year it is just to read something every day. The next thing was spend tracking, which I did do every day, and I'm using categories that I created on the Budget Mom spending category organizer printable. I think that's what it's called. If I can find it, I will leave a link. I did talk a lot about it in my 2023 reset video. So if you are interested in seeing more about that, I will leave a link for that video in the description box. The next thing was to get rid of one bag of stuff each day, which I did do. It also helped that I was cleaning out my kitchen and pantry, so it was very easy to fill a bag every day. And I'm not talking just like a giant trash bag. I'm talking any size bag. It can be like a little grocery bag, but just getting rid of a bag of stuff each day, which I have been doing. The next thing on my list is part of my legacy goal, and that was to take a picture every single day this year. That was my plan. That did not happen in January. I did take a picture most days, and on the other days, I also took video. We got a bunch of snow, and so I was taking video of the kids, but it's not organized. I was kind of hoping, what I envisioned was that I would have a photo album with a picture every day of the kids for 2023, but video does not translate to pictures unless I do a screen grab. So I'm not really sure. I think that I did about 2/3 of the days in January, but I need to go back through some of my pictures, which comes to my last daily habit, which was not very successful, which is a picture sort, like a 5-minute picture sort each day to go through and delete pictures that I don't need, because I have a hard time deleting pictures. I'll take, 25 pictures of the kids and I'll just leave them in my phone. And if you do that enough, it uses quite a bit of memory, and you don't need 25 pictures of the same thing. So I was not successful at that. I did it maybe about 10 days. I was like, oh, I've got to sort my pictures. Or I had a few free minutes and I was like, oh, let me just go through my pictures. But it was not very good. Yeah. Yes. So, and then my weekly focuses, I did check these off, but I did work on them. Plan and prep, homeschool and declutter was good. Homeschool rhythm I worked on. My PM routine, I really focused on what I wanted it to look like. So that is done. And then declutter and monthly reset, which I also did. So now I'm going to move into February. Okay. So for February, I have not put my stickers next to the goals that they represent, but I have tried to color code them based on the colors for those particular goals. So the first thing on my monthly action items is home declutter projects. Now, I was going to list out every single one of the projects that I wanted to work on in the month of February, but I just don't have enough space here to do that. And I had to remember that this is not necessarily a checklist of every single thing that I do in the month relating to my goals. This is more of like a top-down view of the big points that I want to hit on. And then within those points, I do break it down quite a bit more, and I do that through writing out my daily plans and checklists and such as I'm working through my weekly and daily planning. That's kind of how my goal setting works. And so what I actually did for home declutter projects, and then some for the daily habits as well, is I, again, printed out a couple of the wildcard pages from Goal School through Power Sheets. I was going to make some lists just myself, just print them out, but then I was like, oh, I wonder if Goal School will have a little wild card, because I wanted it just a little bit smaller. And so I did print out the organization and decluttering wild card, and then my daily rhythms wild card. And so for my home declutter projects, I want to clean out my entry armoire, the entry closet. I need to still do my fridge and freezer. I want to work on my office closet. It's clean and organized, but I have a bunch of stuff in there that I need to just let go of. And then some of, these planners right here, I probably could get rid of, and I will probably do some giveaways at some point, although we're already a month into 2023, so I don't know if anybody would actually want some of those resources. But anyways, I also want to go through my master bedroom closet, the downstairs hall closet, and the kids' closets. So that's a lot of projects, but I don't think that they're going to take me that long. So They're kind of smaller. There is a place on here to schedule it, but I do not schedule out these things in advance, mainly because my days, while I really protect my homeschool block of time, other things come up. If somebody gets sick, or if we have an appointment, or friends invite us to do something, or the kids end up having friends over or whatnot, a lot of that stuff is spur of the moment. And so I try not to schedule too much stuff. I do have a project block of time during my day, and then I will just pick something based on how I'm feeling, how the house looks, how the kids are doing, that kind of thing. So that is my home declutter projects for my monthly action items. So each time I complete one of those things on the list, I will give myself a little bit of credit in this progress bar. The next thing is my budget, which I have to budget every month, obviously. Everybody should budget every month. You want to know where your money is going. I've written it down because I am really trying to focus on cutting back spending, and not necessarily spending on frivolous things, but really making sure that what I'm spending my money on, we are using, and I'm not buying too much, things like groceries, where I'm stepping back, not eating out as much, making sure that I know how much chicken feed we're going through, how much scratch we need, bales of straw, and shavings for the chicken coop, and all of those types of things, all of the household cleaning stuff, tracking how much we're using of those things so that I know how much I want to have on hand, and it's not surprising when I need to buy something. I really just want to know how much of things we're using. I obviously try to keep a good supply in our house, but yeah. Everything is very expensive, and so I'm trying to have better controls in place. The next thing on my monthly action items is my monthly reset, which is set for, I think it's February 23rd this month, which happens to coincide with our week of homeschool break, because we're doing a 6 weeks on, 1 week off schedule now that we've started into the second semester. And so that's going to be our first homeschool break of the second semester. So that actually works out really well. The next thing on my list is taxes. I do my own taxes. That's super fun. I was an accountant before I was a homeschool mom, but I have to put it on the calendar. I think I've put it on the calendar for the last week of February. The next thing on my list is finish the first term of the second semester and evaluate how things are going. I feel really good about how things are going. We'll see how I feel in 3 more weeks. We're making good progress, and I'm trying to be better about giving the kids time for their passion projects, and also not feeling like we're behind, because number one, we're not actually behind. We're right on track where we need to be in order to finish at the end of April. However, I've noticed as Emma is moving her way through high school that I am falling much more into that comparison trap of, are we doing enough? Maybe we should be doing more stuff. And I'm trying to rid myself of that. It's a challenge. The next thing on my list is home projects / wants / needs list, as well as the costs of those things. This is relating to what I talked about for January when I was talking about the no spend. There are a lot of things that we need to buy, and I want to make sure that I have that list and it's prioritized. You know, there's just, everything is so expensive. I think I've said that in every single video I've recorded in the past 6 weeks. So the next thing on my list is monthly conferences with the kids, which we will do during our homeschool break, and then garden planning, figuring out what I'm going to do for the garden, as well as how I'm going to protect the garden from the chickens, which was a problem last summer. Also figuring out how to make the chickens not go across the street. We have quite a bit of land here, and the chickens have been really good about staying in our yard. We have like 3 acres of space plus woods that we don't own that they can go in. And in December, they started going across the street to our neighbors, which is quite a ways away from the house. So I am not sure how to keep them in our yard besides building a chicken tractor and rotating that, which is not ideal. I'd rather just let them out so that they can free range and be fine. Rotating them is also fine, but it's just kind of a hassle to move the chickens around the yard that way. So we will see. That's up in the air. But I do need to figure out a garden plan, what I want to grow. Last year, we had slugs eat all of our potatoes, probably like 150 pounds of potatoes had slug damage, and that was really not great. We also had a really hot summer, so the watering was not as even as it needs to be. So I'm thinking I probably need to get some soaker hoses to make it a little bit easier to water when we're not getting a lot of rain. I probably should get a rain barrel set up. Things that I have just not managed in our new homestead. It takes a long time to figure out how to manage new garden space, and I still am not there because we've only been here, I guess we've had two growing summers. We've been here for 3 years, but we didn't plant a garden one year. So lots of garden planning. The next part is my weekly action items. And so the first thing is Patreon live stream / exclusive content. So every week I either do a live stream co-working session, or I'm releasing exclusive content to my Patreon community, or we have our monthly Q&A. So I just need to make sure that I have all of those dates on the schedule and that everybody knows about them in my Patreon community. The next thing is homeschool planning, and then weekly planning, budget and bills check-in, a passion projects check-in. This one is new, and it's just so that I'm staying on top of what the kids need. I did a video on Wednesday about how we use technology in our homeschool, and so a lot of my kids' passion projects are relating to technology, and I want to make sure that they have the tools that they need. Sometimes, even though they are able to utilize resources online, I still need to help them find those resources. And so, like with Skillshare, we use Skillshare for Unreal Engine and animation and Blender tutorials and music writing and all of that stuff, but there are so many classes, it can be overwhelming for my kids for me to just say, go pick a class on Skillshare. So I will go in and I will look through some of the different options and give them like a few to choose from, rather than them trying to go in and pick from the thousands of classes that they offer. So I just want to do a passion project check-in with them each week, just to make sure that they have all of the tools that they need, especially as we get towards the end of February. I will start thinking about the 2023-2024 homeschool year. I will probably start doing some preliminary planning during that homeschool break towards the end of February. The next thing on my weekly action items is to write out my email to my email community. I have, I think, like 7,000 homeschoolers that are part of my email community and have been for many, many years now. So I just want to make sure that I'm sending out that email. Last year, I was not very good about sending a weekly email. I had been really good for years and years and years until last year. It was, every couple of weeks, and sometimes it was only once a month. And so I'm really trying to be better about sending it weekly. And then the last thing on my weekly action items is our screen-free day. We had such a great time in January, and each week I let the kids choose a day. We've done it on a Wednesday, we've done it on a Thursday, and then the past couple of weeks we've done it on Friday, and it seems to be working out well to have it on Friday, although I think some of them want to change it to Thursday because Fridays are more passion project related, and if we're doing a screen-free day, obviously they're not using screens for their passion projects. Anyways, so then I have my daily habits, and the first two are AM and PM routines, and that is why I printed out this daily rhythms list from Goal School. So for my morning routine, I have oil pulling, coffee, Bible, nonfiction reading, Patreon check-in, and planning my day. I already do coffee, Bible, and planning my day, and I do oil pulling about 2/3 of the month. If I wake up with a stuffy nose, I can't do oil pulling because you're swishing with coconut oil for 20 minutes. It's not, and if you have a stuffy nose, that doesn't work. But I want to make sure that I'm doing this. It needs to be the first thing in the morning. If I wake up late, like 5:30, 6, I don't feel like I have enough time to really do that before I get everything else done for the day. But when I'm waking up early, I have plenty of time. Coffee, Bible, and plan my day. Those things are all things that are pretty good habits for me. There's not a day that goes by that I don't drink coffee unless I'm sick, and then I drink tea. Bible, 90% of the time I read my Bible and do my Bible study. I'm using the Eden to Eternity chronological reading plan from Daily Grace Co., and I'm using the devotionals that go with it, and I started in the New Testament. So I'm using the chronological reading plan, but I started in the New Testament, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm like halfway through the first book. I think that each book goes for 3 months, but sometimes I will read a little bit ahead. Like if there's only one chapter to read, then I'll read like 2 days. So that goes really well. But then I also, the Patreon check-in is new because I just opened the Patreon community. So I want to make sure that I'm doing that each morning and spending time talking with the members over there. And then I want to also work on nonfiction reading. Nonfiction reading, I don't usually do at night. It's more something that I want to do during the day. And so if I have time, I want to spend some time working on nonfiction reading as part of my morning routine. For my evening routine, I have yoga with Emma. She loves to do yoga and I do as well, and we both like to do it at night, but we are not in a good rhythm for doing it at night. We had been for a while, but we got out of it last year. 2022 was the year of getting out of all of the rhythms that we had put in place before. So I want to probably start setting an alarm to make sure that we have like some transition time from just like hanging out after dinner and stuff to starting yoga, so that we are actually completing that. We tried to do the January daily yoga challenge from Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. It was a struggle. Those practices were really hard, and we did not successfully complete that challenge. We do better when we're able to choose the different practices that we want to do each day. And so I think that's what we're going to try and do going forward, so that we're not like falling over saying, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Yes, so yoga with Emma. Then I want to make sure that I'm doing my one-line journal in that little pocket planner from Erin Condren. I also want to do a 5-minute picture sort. I think that right at the end of the day, that's a good time to do it. I can go through any pictures and videos that I took during the day and just get rid of them. And if I haven't taken any pictures, then I can make sure that I go back and start deleting some of the older pictures. At some point, I do need to transfer them to my computer, and then I really need to start focusing on all of the pictures that are on my computer right now, which there are many. But it's hard for me to delete pictures, but it's because I have lost a lot of pictures, digital pictures over the years. I think I lost like the first 2 years of pictures of Jack's life because I had been really good about transferring my pictures to a computer, but there wasn't like a ton of cloud storage available at that time, and we didn't have an external hard drive, and we had an instance of somebody dumping my entire bottle of water on my laptop. And so I lost all of those pictures. And then I have tons and tons of pictures from when Emma was a baby that I had transferred to an old iPod. It's like one of those old music playing iPods, but it can also be used as like an external hard drive. Well, when I transferred them to that iPod, I think that I formatted it so that I cannot get them off of that iPod, that they are just like really mini pictures. They were reformatted in that way. So I don't know, maybe at some point I will go to the Apple store and see if they can get those pictures off for me. But they still live in my iPod, which still works. If I charge it, it works. Yes, so I need to work on the picture sorting. Then I also want to start journaling to my kids. I do have little notebooks for them, and I thought that I would alternate. I'm not sure if it would be easy to do it as a daily practice. Maybe it would if I alternate each kid, like every day as a different child. Yeah, so I want to start doing that, just writing down stories and memories that I have, so that the kids can have those eventually at some point in the future. And then the last thing on my evening routine list is the one that I do religiously anyways, which is reading fiction. I do that every single day at night. I will lay down and read. And depending on the book that I'm reading, I will either read until 2 o'clock in the morning, or I will read until 9:30 and then fall asleep. So that is my tending list for February. I have not decorated it with stickers yet, which is why it looks pretty plain, but I do have the different colors already on here. And then over here, I have my weekly focuses, and for the first week, it's going to be decluttering again. Then Matt's birthday and the Super Bowl. Oh, however, I'm not pleased with who is playing in the Super Bowl. It's really sad for me to see Kansas City and the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles and I don't like Kansas City. But I still will make a bunch of Super Bowl food and we will have a good time. And then the third week is going to be our homeschool break and my monthly reset. And then the fourth week, I want to focus on content for my Patreon community, as well as some things that I'm working on for YouTube. And then I do have a few things for watching. The movie 80 for Brady looks hilarious. I really love football and we're big Patriots fans. My mom and I are, and my kids as well. And my husband too. But my mom and I have really loved football for many, many years. And it just looks so funny. It looks so funny. Your Place or Mine with Reese Witherspoon and Ashton Kutcher also looked really funny. The Super Bowl, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out. Quantumania, maybe? I love all the Marvel movies. Will we see it in the theater? I don't know, but I have written it down. So that is all that I have planned for February. And then I think what's going to end up happening is I am going to do like a quarterly refresh early. I think that I'm going to look at spring as March, April, May. And I have done this with the power sheets as well. I will do my quarterly refresh early for both the spring and the summer. Mainly for the summer, because in Maine, summer is like June, July, and August. Once it's September, it starts to get cold again. So I will probably end up doing my seasonal refresh at the end of February and really figure out what I want to work on for the next 3 months. So my quarters are going to be off. Q1 is pretty much going to end at the end of February, even though Q1 actually ends at the end of March. Are you following me? Are you even still watching at this point? But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have questions about anything that I talked about, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.